welcome to Soccer North.
Thank you, Andy.
This is really exciting having you here, and I want to play a little game with you. I'm going to play a little show host here, okay? So we're going to test out a new segment that's called Something, Nothing, or Everything. So I'm going to actually prompt you with a question, and you're going to tell me the level of importance you think it has. Okay, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
First up, Cyle Larin. As of the taping of this interview, he's only made 9 appearances for Club Brugge. 8 have been off the bench. Is that something, nothing, or everything?
Cyle Larin, he's playing, but he's not starting. And it's what that does to you physically. Like, he's not going to be peak match fit like some of the other guys. But more important is what that does to you mentally. I don't imagine his confidence is sky high at the moment. Now, luckily, he's got a lot of success, a lot of history that he can sort of bank and say, no, I can do this, I'm a good player. Stuart Smalley looking in the mirror, telling himself that he's ready to go. But ideally, he'd be running full cylinders, and he's not. So it's not a disaster. It's not. It's not the end of the world. It's not ideal. It's a little bit of something.
I agree on the something, because if you're looking at that friendly against Qatar, hadn't played a lot, came in, scored a goal, 25 for country. Not too shabby for a guy not getting a lot of playing time.
100%.
Still no deal between Canada Soccer and the Players Association. They did settle, though, on Davies, his image and his likeness. That was an individual deal, though. Something, nothing, or everything?
This whole subject makes me nuts. It makes me nuts. It makes me nuts. The fact that we're talking about this, like less than 3 weeks from a World Cup, Canada's first World Cup in 36 years for the men, Canada Soccer just has dropped the ball. Like, they started negotiating this. The players boycotted that Panama game in June. It's now November, and still no deal. So I want to say it's nothing. I want to say that they'll just push it past and either settle before the World Cup, or the players will table it until after the World Cup. It could be everything if the players decide to use this moment of power to really hold Canada Soccer's feet to the fire. I don't think the Canadian players will do that. I think it means too much for them to be there. I'm going to say it's something.
Not unprecedented. So I feel like it's nothing heading into the World Cup, because I think the Canadians are playing. I think it's everything after the World Cup, because we know 2026, they're part of the host nations, and it'll mean everything. It needs to get done, or this next year, I think, could be really troublesome. Speaking of Davies and David are in fine form on their teams. Is that something, nothing, or everything?
Everything. It's everything. It's everything. This is a much happier conversation.
Yeah.
It's a much happier
I wanted to get the other stuff done first.
Get it done. As a Canadian soccer fan, it's awesome. Like, John Herdman did an interesting study of teams that make it out of the group stage of the World Cup. And on average, they have 6 starters who are in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Canada only has 2. It's Davies and David. But the fact that they are firing on all cylinders is huge. And now we get into what I think is an interesting conversation about what is success for this team. Qualifying is success at some level, right? Only the second team to do it for the men. Now, is success scoring a goal, which we didn't do in '86? Is it getting a point? Is it winning a game? Is it getting out of the group? But no matter how you answer that question about what success is for this team, none of the possibilities happen if Davies and David don't score a goal. They're the guys. You need them to score. And so it's almost the opposite of the Cyle Larin situation, where he's, you're like a little worried about his state coming in. The 2 biggest horses are hitting the ground running, and I think that's huge for Canada.
I love it. Something, nothing, or everything. I really enjoyed this segment, and I know I'm going to enjoy your contributions on cbcsports.ca. That's Chris Jones.
Thanks very much for having me.
If you enjoyed this content, don't miss anything that we're putting out on Soccer North. Be sure to download the CBC Gem app, head to the App Store, and hey, it's free.